Let's get into the elephant in the room when it comes to movie news. We don't usually talk about stuff like this, but I feel like this one is so gigantic. The gravity of it really is pulling everyone towards it. And okay, hello nerds. Welcome to another episode of the news. This is the place to get all of your pop culture and nerdy news. I, as always, am generally nerdy. In today's episode, we have returns and rumors of returns, all of them good, bad, or indifferent. We're talking about as much as we can. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Mortal Kombat 12. We have Beetlejuice 2. We have really a lot of stuff, a lot of ground to cover, even though it's going to be probably a little bit shorter than usual. It's a lot of very exciting information. So before we get into any of that, let's get into housekeeping ever so briefly. We are officially 3 weeks away. That's 3 regular episodes after today, before I'm taking about 2.5 weeks off of all of this. I say that it's not going to be 2.5 weeks of dead air. There is going to be some reaction videos posted. We're also going to be posting shorts and things of that nature all throughout the time off, but there's not going to be any news, live, pre-recorded, or otherwise. So, yeah, that is headed this direction. We are also, I think I'm only going to do one more live show before then, just so I can take the 2 Fridays before I leave as time to create content that is going to be spread out throughout the course of the 2.5 weeks that I'm not going to be doing news episodes. So things like the quick and nerdy shorts, we're probably going to do maybe a super nerdy hot take once or twice. Also reaction videos, and I'm really really having some trouble getting the 3rd channel up and running because I am a one-man show. So all of that being said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the works, so don't be surprised if this is the final week for the live show until I return from vacation. So let's get into music news. Music news. We have, this is the biggest section we have for the episode. This is a huge section. Not gonna lie, so let's get right to it. We have some follow-ups to hit up. Our first follow-up has to do with the band Jinjer. This actually comes from the community. The viewer who kind of clued me into this didn't want me to use his name directly, so I'm not going to do that because I don't want anyone to get in any undue trouble. So what was brought to my attention is when we covered this story previously, I made it sound as if pretty much everything that Jinjer was doing was of their own volition. And I mean, I should have saw this. This should have been something that was apparent, and I, for whatever reason, didn't see it. And honestly, a lot of other big outlets didn't see this. It took somebody from Ukraine to point this out to me, and then it made perfect sense. So let's kind of recap so that you follow what I'm talking about. Jinjer, after the war in Ukraine broke out with Russia, the band Jinjer made a press statement saying they are going to cancel the rest of their tour that they were on. I think they were in the States at that time, but there was a world tour. They were canceling the rest of their dates so that they could stay home in Ukraine and take care of family. I believe I'm definitely paraphrasing that, but that is roughly what it came out as. And then we saw them start to do things where they're raising money for people who were affected rather negatively by the war. And then they were doing all of this humanitarian stuff. And then they announced last week, and we talked about this in the music section last week, they announced that they're going to be touring as ambassadors for Ukraine throughout Europe. So the part that needed to be clarified, and that kind of changes the way that is interpreted, is When they canceled their tour that they were on, when they canceled all of those dates, it was a decree from the Ukrainian government that no man between the age of 18 and 60, I believe, it might have been 80, but I think it was 60. No man that was a resident of the country of Ukraine could leave the country without prosecution. So, being as Jinjer is 3/4 male, they had to go back. It was not an option. They had to cancel according to the decree from the Ukrainian government. They had to cancel their tour. And now it seems that this whole ambassador thing is on the volition of the government, not in real, it's not a collaboration with the Ukrainian government. It seems that this was forced upon them in a way. It doesn't sound like they necessarily resisted being ambassadors for their country, because it on the surface, at least, again, I don't know the details personally. I'm just going off of what I have been told at this point, and honestly kind of reading between the lines of what you hear in the news. But it sounds like it was the government said, you guys are popular relatively throughout the world and Europe and even in the States, so we need you to do this thing. And Jinjer went, okay. Though I would imagine if they had said no, it would not have gone super well for them, but that is simply my conjecture. That is not based on necessarily any fact that I can back up. So yeah, just kind of changes the way that story reads. It's not they're canceling their tour so they can take care of people at home. It's they're canceling a tour so that their government can use them as weapons of war should they need to. And then it's not, they wanted to bring better light to the country, so they approached the government to say, hey, we want to be ambassadors. It's the government said, you guys are ambassadors now, go on tour. So it changes the way that story reads a bit. But that is that follow-up. Let's move now into Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend has announced finally the release date for the Lightwork record that we talked about when he announced that he was working on a record called Lightwork. This is going to be an interesting outing for Townsend, because this is the first time with the Devin Townsend project, with his name up front and center, that he is working with more musicians than just the ones that exist between his ears. So it'll be really interesting to see how this varies from a regular Devin Townsend record and, you know, his previous stuff, Old Man's Child and stuff like that. So very interested to see what this one comes out as. But I'm burying the lead. October 28th of this year is when Lightwork is going to be released digitally and physically and so on and so forth. So that's what we have on Devin Townsend. Next, we have a really killer follow-up on the Hellfest tour, the Hellfest festival rather, out in France. That week one came to an end this past weekend, and we have, you should be seeing it on your screen right now, unless you're on the audio, in which case, I'm sorry, but there is an epic statue of Lemmy that they had at the Hellfest the festival. And it's gigantic and it's beautiful, and it actually has some ashes from Lemmy in the statue. And I think that's just kind of awesome in so many ways. Just as an artistic expression, it's a really cool art piece as an homage to a godfather of the genre that we all love, and just all of these elements and these layers. And yeah, it's a cool thing. If you are on audio, go look up the Lemmy Kilmister statue from Hellfest 2022. It's really, really big. Like, one of the pictures that I'm showing on screen right now is just the head of the statue, and it's enormous. Takes up a whole freaking room. Yeah, it's cool. Check it out. I'm rambling. Let's move on. And then our final follow-up is another As I Lay Dying follow-up. So they have apparently now officially split with Jordan Mancino, I'm sure is probably how he pronounces it. Jordan Mancino, who we talked about last week, separated, said he was not going to go on this tour that they have booked until they had some internal issues resolved. And then it came out just yesterday, I believe, the announcement that actually As I Lay Dying are just kicking him to the curb. Well, they say that he excommunicated himself from the band because, you know, religious iconography is one of their shticks. And they have claimed that they have recorded a new song, actually, with their substitute drummer, Nick Pierce from Unearth. It seems like there is a lot of turmoil in As I Lay Dying. So much so even now I've been seeing headlines of the demise of the band overall, which seems unfounded given that they are on freaking tour right now. But I don't know, maybe it's wishful thinking on some nerds' parts, or music nerds, whatever. That is, though, what we have for follow-ups and corrections. Let's get into music, new music. We have a whole lot. This is the majority of this section. So, Machine Head has released a new song, Unhallowed, off of their current record. I apologize, the name of the record escaped me. I didn't put it in the notes because I take amazing notes, but the new song, Unhallowed, actually is, I'm not the biggest Machine Head fan, as blasphemous as that is in the metal community. I just can't get behind Machine Head. I don't know why. It's not that The Blackening was a bad record, but I just didn't get into it, and that was kind of when everybody said, oh my god, Machine Head's so amazing, even though they'd been around for decades before that. Anyway, I'm rambling. This new song is actually listenable. This is a little bit more slow paced for them, a little bit more melodic. Seems Rob Flynn does melodic pretty well. I think part of the reason why I don't like them generally is I'm not a fan of his vocal delivery, and this time is not a traditional vocal delivery for Flynn. So this is a very interesting recommend, but I am going to recommend this new track from them, Unhallowed. Our next piece of new music this week comes from Amy Lee and Dave Stewart. Who the hell is Dave Stewart, you might be asking if you are under the age of, I don't know, 40? Dave Stewart is probably not the name you know from the Eurythmics, but the Eurythmics are two people, Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart. So Dave Stewart has been around for a long damn time as a performer. He's also a producer. He's a man of many talents when it comes to the musical side of things. And he actually approached Amy Lee for this song. It is a cover of Love Hurts from the Everly Brothers. Nazareth did the most famous version of this back in the 70s, but the Everly Brothers wrote this one back in the 50s, I want to say. Might have been the 60s, I don't remember. Either way, this version is surprisingly good. The Nazareth version, again, is a classic, so I don't know that it tops that, but I would put it on par with that. Amy Lee definitely stretching her vocal chops, and Dave is just really experimenting with harmonies in such a beautiful way. This is an easy recommend this week for new music. Our next piece of new music comes from the Mars Volta. Mars Volta has not put out a new single for over 10 years. So this has a lot of weight on its shoulders, if you will, proverbially. The name of this song is Blacklight Shine, and links, as always, are down in the description. This is not recommend. I really like Mars Volta. I really think that Francis the Mute is a brilliant record. I think that I can't remember the first Mars Volta record. Either way, that also is a brilliant record. I'm just brain farting it right now. This is not living up to the pedigree of those two albums. Those are the only two that I'm super well versed in. I know they have a third, I just can't think of it. They might even have more than three. But I really do like the Mars Volta, and I can't recommend this unless you are a hard Mars Volta fan. Blacklight Shine is probably not going to do it for you, because it kind of seems like Omar and Cedric are phoning it in a little bit. Psychroptic is a band that I haven't heard their name for a while. These Australian death metal dudes have put out a new single. Their new single is called Exitus, and this is a lot of fun. This is death metal at its probably most listenable. I've kind of always been a passive fan of Psychroptic. Whenever they come up, I'm not going to turn them off. It's that kind of band. But this new song it just does dynamics in a way that not a lot of death metal bands can do. There's a reason why I am not the biggest death metal listener. It's because dynamics are one of my favorite things about music, and death metal just doesn't have a whole lot of them. This band, though, has figured out an incredible way to incorporate dynamics while still keeping everything in your face and brutal throughout the entire course of the track. Just the production on this, I think, is by and large the biggest reason why I really, really dig this track. But I do really, really dig this track, so go check out Psychroptic's new one, Exodus. Oceans of Slumber is a band that I honestly hadn't really heard of before I did research for this episode. They are billed as Southern Gothic, which, I mean, those are two words that I like the music from, both of those two implications. Southern rock, Southern metal, honestly, Mastodon, come on now. And Gothic, you've got things like Unto Others and Manson and just whatever falls into that category usually comes out pretty good as well. So the two of them together, I figured this would be great. And I was wrong. The name of this song is The Lighthouse, and yeah, this is an easy not recommend. I don't know why Metal Media gives these guys coverage, because this doesn't seem like, this is rock. This is maybe you could argue like a hard rock kind of situation, or an active rock is the new term for the radio these days, but metal coverage, yeah, not so much. And also quality, not so much there either. Matt Heafy is continuing to put out more solo work. This new one is called Perpetual Hate, and it's actually kind of a standout track for two reasons for Heafy. First up, we're going to get the elephant out of the room, and that is the drummer on this is a man named Josh Devine. You might not know that name because Josh Devine is a pop drummer. More specifically, Josh Devine plays drums for One Direction when they go on tour. So that's an interesting situation, but this dude really shreds. He's no Bron Daler, but man, he's good. So I really, really dug it for that reason. But also, I feel like vocally, Heafy is kind of starting to come into his own. He's really getting to a point that is vocally interesting to me. It's been a little while, especially considering not the most recent Trivium record, but the last Trivium record really did nothing for me. So this song, Perpetual Hate, is a definite recommend. Go listen to this. It's a lot of fun. You're gonna dig it if you like the heavy. So we've talked about other bands that have a similar pedigree to this band, and so now let's talk about Vented, a new supergroup. This is an international supergroup because these guys come from all over, featuring members of Sinsanum, Chimera, Devil Driver, and other less noteworthy bands. But still, that is a pretty big pedigree. That is a lot. There's some pretty big shoes to fill, and they kind of get there. The name of this track is Requiem for Myself. It is a listenable, heavy track. It definitely, you can see the influences of those other bands, Devil Driver, Sinsanum, Chimera. It feels kind of a little bit like it's trying to go in too many directions at once, though I do really, really appreciate what they've done with the vocals on the recording. So this is a kind of a Midland recommend. Definitely go check it out, but don't keep your expectations super high. Our final piece of new music for the week is Behemoth have put out a new record. It's Off to War is the name of the song, and this is another instance where, like, generally speaking, I don't really like a whole lot of black metal, but I pretty solidly like Behemoth, and this does not disappoint. If you are a Behemoth fan, you will absolutely dig this. If you just like aggressive music, you will absolutely dig this. This song is a lot of fun. There is just great layering, and for a black metal record, it definitely has solid production behind it, which some would say makes it not a true black metal record. And to those guys, I would say, get out of your mom's basement, bro. Yeah, so this is an easy recommend. If you are looking to experiment with the more aggressive side of the metals, or you just have never really put much thought into black metal, Behemoth is a fairly great place to start. So that brings us into the tours section of this episode. So we're going to start things off once again with the Mars Volta. Not only have they announced this new record that this single comes from that we just talked about, but also they're going on tour. The tour begins September 23rd in Dallas, runs through October 21st in LA. I think it's only like 10 dates, so that's not a whole lot of shows. Cedric and Omar, again, really are that kind of dudes, or those kind of dudes anyway, they perform their art, and it is high form of art. And I'm saying this in a slightly mocking way, but it's a legit, like, they are definitely artists. Like, go listen to the other Mars Volta records and try and argue with me that is not prog rock at its one of its highest forms. Anyway, so yeah, they're going on tour. Link in the description if you are interested. The tickets do not officially go on sale until Friday the 24th. There is a pre-sale that starts tomorrow as you're watching this. Actually, no, it starts today as you're watching this. If you're watching the day I posted this video. And I couldn't find where the pre-sale is coming from, so I apologize, but if you can find it, then by all means do that. Otherwise, you gotta wait till Friday to get your tickets for the Mars Volta. And then our only other tour for this episode is In This Moment, a band that is kind of just is. They're going on the Blood 1983 tour. The supporting acts are Nothing More, Sleep Token, and Cherry Bombs. This tour starts August 26th and runs through October 22nd. This one, it looks like they're playing just about every day. There are a couple of off days, obviously, but it was seriously like 28 dates on this tour, so it's probably coming to somewhere near you if you live in the States. Links for this one also down in the description, and I'm pretty sure it is on sale currently. So that is what we have for that. That is all of our news for the music section. So music suggestion. Our music suggestion for this week is Dillinger Escape Plan, Miss Machine. We talked about Calloused Cowboys last week. This is kind of the sound that they come from. So Dillinger Escape Plan is easily top 10 aggressive bands ever. These guys are brilliant. I think the addition of Greg Puciato on this record, because he was not on the previous two records, is kind of the missing element. Like, Calculating Infinity is also a brilliant record, but I think Miss Machine has a lot more to offer the conversation. Production-wise, sound-wise, Puciato's vocals are just all over the place. And Ben Weinstein, I can't remember his name. I apologize. Either way, fantastic guitar player. These guys just really know how to use their instruments and use them very well. Now, gaming and tech. Honestly, this section got a little neglected. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't go through all of my regular sources because the music section was such a bear. And honestly, trying to fill out the TV and movie sections was a bit of a bear too, even though they're still pretty small. A lot of garbage to sift through this week because it's a slow news week, so everybody's just writing filler stories and it sucks. And I apologize, so that is what it is. We are, though, going to be talking about some Elden Ring. I know this is a game that's already been released, and I promise this is not just a filler story, even though it is a bit of a slow news week. Elden Ring just got modded in such a way as to make the game harder. What? If you are a Steam player for the Elden Ring, then you can go to the Nexus mods, download. It's from a pretty popular modder. The guy is called Grimrukh, I believe is how that is pronounced. He's done, he did Souls games previously and has done some actually very noteworthy mods. This one adds a survival mode to, oh wow, survival mode in Elden Ring, like, that just, it's not just like, just makes things harder, and if you die, you can't continue. It's not just that. There are, he does definitely leave things in there to help you along the way, and all of the elements of the mod you can turn on and off. So if having them all on is way too much, then you can do, one at a time and try and build through. But yeah, you have additional things that you can cook, animals that you can hunt, and different things to gather that will help you throughout the course. But you also now are subject to hunger and just why would you want to make Elden Ring harder? That's the reason I put this in here, because that's just bonkers to me. Anyway, it is a thing. Go check it out if you are a PC player for the Elden Ring. I said the Elden Ring. I know it's not technically the Elden Ring, but if you watch the show regularly, I say the in front of things a lot, whatever. So next in the gaming and tech world, we have a new, this one's noteworthy. It's from an indie developer. It's also on Steam. Indie developer is Massive Work Studio. The name of the game is Dolmen, and it's a Lovecraftian Souls-like game that just looks absolutely bonkers. Link to it is down in the description if you are a Steam player. I can't remember the price because I didn't write it down, because why? I take amazing notes. But it was pretty cheap. Again, indie developer, one of their first games, so go check it out. But this this looks like it's going to scratch some itches for some folk who maybe don't want to play survival mode on Elden Ring, but still looking for something in that same vein. Go check this one out. This is more sci-fi than Elden Ring and any of the Souls games, but still that kind of same level of difficulty, apparently. Yeah, I haven't played it, but it looks pretty cool, and I want to play it. So that's what we have for gaming and tech news. Gaming and tech suggestion, though, we are going with Shredder's Revenge. It came out this week, and you should probably be playing it. It is currently only digital download, so if you have to get it through whatever service you play, PlayStation Store or the Xbox Live or Steam, but it's reasonably priced, and it's a freaking throwback Ninja Turtles game that there's absolutely no reason to not have it. We're probably going to throw this into the stream this weekend, not gonna lie. That being said, that is what we have for gaming and tech this week. Comic books and books, again, only one piece. Though, let's, real quick, because I'm pretty sure we only talked about this in the live stream, we do have a real quick follow-up. Tim Sale, sadly, and I may or may not have said Jeff Loeb on accident in the last episode once or twice. When I meant to say Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb definitely collaborated a lot, and they're famous for their collaborations, but we were talking about Tim Sale. Tim Sale passed, and still no announcement as to what exactly the serious health conditions were. But again, that was the official press release, is that he was in the hospital because of some serious health conditions. And a couple days after I posted the episode, actually, I think it was the morning of the live episode. So last Friday is when he passed in the hospital, and just the comic book art community is missing a god, and that sucks. It sucks. I'm a huge Tim Sale fan. I think his artwork is genre defining for Batman. And we're going to take another one. We took a moment on Friday. We're going to take another moment for Tim Sale, because this one's huge. Okay, so we did the follow-up, and it's a sad one, and let's move out of that, and we got to keep this in a serious vein, though. We're going to have a little bit of a brief conversation real quick about Future State, about Batman Future State specifically, because this feels wrong. Future State is the current big arc in the DC universe, and on the Batman side of that, we have a rehashing of the Battle for the Cowl, and a rehashing of Batman Incorporated, and a rehashing of Hush. They just kind of are mishmashing those three stories. The thing that pisses me off the most about this is Battle for the Cowl just happened, like, not that long ago. Why are you rehashing This is why nobody's reading DC anymore. This is why the big two are continuously losing sales to manga and anime and things that are doing legitimate, compelling stories. My heart breaks for the current state of mainstream comic books. Everything is going underground or manga or the Kickstarter because nobody's reading the big two. And it's kind of because of this, and it's kind of because of politics, and that just sucks. But that's what we have to talk about for comic books. Let me know what you think. Is this a compelling rehash of any one of those three stories? Or is this just really grasping at straws in the death throes of an industry? Let's definitely have that conversation on the socials or down in the comments section. But that's all we really have about comic books. I just wanted to bring that up because it's got me a little heated. But that just brings us to comic book suggestions, comic books and books. This is going to be one that I can't believe I haven't suggested already, and that is Mortal Kombat X by Sean Kittleson. Oh, I love these books. They are not canon as far as the Mortal Kombat game universe is concerned. They're much in the same vein of like the first animated movie is kind of close to actual canon, but not really. And then like the animated series and then the actual movies, how they're all their own continuity. That's kind of where these comic books live. And the first run of comic books, the Malibu run of comic books, also not canon for the games. But still, this is, you get to see these characters grow and change in ways that honestly help you understand them and help you appreciate them more, even though it's not canon. So yeah, really, really dig the Mortal Kombat X books. They are by Sean Kittleson. That is our comic book recommendation for this week. TV streaming. Yeah, it's a slow news week. I'm not apologizing for it. We're just gonna blast through this real quick. First up, we have some trailers to talk about. The Westworld Season 4 trailer. There's a new Westworld Season 4 trailer, I should say. And this one's got me a little bit more hype. The last trailer didn't do a whole lot for me, but this one, I mean, we got the return of the Man in Black. We got, a lot of very interesting, we have potentially another amusement world that looks like something like 20s Gangsters, which is gonna be a lot of fun if that's exactly what that is. Just this one, yeah. I'm back on the hype train for the Westworld. Season 3 kind of ended a little wonky, so hopefully they can bring it back for Season 4. And I think Season 5 is where this one ends as well. So yeah, that's what we got on that one. Next we have Stranger Things Season 4 Part 2 just dropped what I believe is going to be their final trailer before the second half of the season launches on the 1st of July. Remember, the last 2 episodes for this season are all we're getting on the 1st, and they are both long episodes. The first one is like an hour and 30 minute, just shy of an hour and 30, I think, like 25 or something like that. And then the last episode is 2.5 hours long. It is going to be epic. It might be a slog, I'm not gonna lie. It might take some work to get through that last episode, but who knows, man. It just looks crazy. I have seen some theories about who might be dying in the second part of this season, because we do only have 1 season left. That means somebody might die. I wanted to throw that one off to you nerds. Who do you think might be passing at the end of Season 4 that's not going to be coming back, much like Hopper did, in Season 5. So let's have that conversation. I feel like that's going to be a fun back and forth. So that is the trailers that we have for TV streaming. So let's get into announcements. New news for the group. We do have the announcement that in September on London's Channel 4, we're going to be seeing Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. What? What is this going to be? Is this going to be full-length episodes that are expanding on the original episodes that were the short, like 10-minute episodes on YouTube? Is this going to be a continuation of the lore in the new universe that they created at the end of this? Like, what? How do you make this into an actual series, and where can I watch it? Because that's just, this is a series that I think didn't get enough love, even though though it did get some viral buzz, it was not nearly as large as it should have been. This, you need to go watch Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. That's not our suggestion for this week on TV streaming, but boy, it got close. We might do that next week, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is coming to television in London in September. How do I watch it in the States? That's the question. Anyway, we're going to just keep gushing, so let's move right along. We also have the official announcement from, I believe it was Paramount Plus. Yes. Paramount Plus has given the other prequel for the Yellowstone series a title, and they've revealed who is going to be leading the cast. So the new title for this series, I can't remember what the old title was. I couldn't find what the old title was, actually, is 1923. So sticking with the year naming mechanism. And this is going to star, and it's funny that it's going to star these two because I was literally just talking about them with my father. Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford are going to be leading the Duttons through Prohibition and the 20s Gangsters and then the mob, and like, okay, like that's a interesting combination. I'm not going to say it's a bad combination because I think Helen Mirren is amazing and Harrison Ford is pretty great. I wouldn't necessarily say he's the same level as Helen, but you know, they're great. Got me interested. The 1883 was fantastic. Yellowstone is solid. Pretty much every episode of every season. Yes, there are a couple of spots where it does drag a little bit, but by and large, that series is fantastic. Taylor Sheridan is working some magic, and this is just one of like five other spin-off series that are going on. I honestly didn't write them down the list, but we've gone over it previously on the channel. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm definitely much more interested now that I know who's going to be leading this cast. So yeah, 1923, Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford. Whew, that's very interesting. That is what we have for our regular news, which means TV streaming suggestions. This is actually a streaming suggestion that started out as a TV show. The streamer that now hosts it is Hulu, and the show is The Orville. Orville Season 3 is so great. It is so Star Trek. I mean, honestly, I would put this above Discovery. I would put this next to Next Generation. I am a Deep Space Nine guy, so I think Deep Space Nine still kind of takes the cake. But wow, McFarlane is going whole hog on this. Oh, just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch it. It's absolutely worth your time. Movie section, a little bit bigger than TV streaming, but not by much. It's mostly follow-ups, so let's get to them. Our biggest follow-up is Beavis and Butthead. We got a couple of things to follow up on for this movie. So first off, we do know that in the movie, we are going to be getting Beavis and Butthead ripping apart some YouTube videos and TikTok videos, and hopefully some music videos is kind of what I'm looking forward to the most, because TikTok's a little too much low-hanging fruit at this point. But yeah, so that is the first part. We are also now have confirmed that after the movie comes out, we will be getting a reboot of the series. Again, this time it is going to a streaming service. I believe that streaming service is Paramount. Yes, it's Paramount Plus. I could be wrong because I didn't put in the notes because, again, great notes. But yeah, so that's going to happen. And there's also going to be released the shorts of them just ripping apart the music videos and the TikToks and whatnot. All of that is coming, and it's going to be fantastic, and that is our follow-up. The movie, in case you forgot, June 23rd release, straight to streaming. There you go. Next is Dune Part 2. We have another casting announcement for Dune Part 2. We have Lady Margot Fenring has been cast. The actress playing her is Léa Seydoux. Can't remember what I've seen her in, but I do know that I appreciated whatever it was, so there you go. Léa Seydoux cast in the movie. That's all we've got on that one. Let's hit our final follow-up, and that has to do with the Venture Brothers. We now have a word from multiple actors involved with the project, as well as one of the creators of the show who is doing the movie. We have a couple of things. So we have Patrick Warburton has finished his audio recording. James Urbaniak, who, if you don't know and you're a fan, James does the voice of Dr. Venture. He is still currently recording. We also have Jackson Public, who is one of the creators. He also voices many characters in the show, is also currently recording. And that is where it sits on production. We also, I don't know if we've talked about this previously, so we're going to talk about it now. The movie is going to be exclusive to not HBO Max for 90 days. It's not getting a theatrical release, but it is getting a digital rental release as well as the physical purchase ability release. So if you want to watch it within the first 90 days, you are going to have to pay money to see it if you have an HBO Max account already. Otherwise, you just wait 90 days and it'll be launched on HBO Max and you can watch it a million times like I'm going to. Actually, no, I'm probably going to pay the money to at least rent it so I can watch it the one time. But yeah, once it hits HBO Max, you can guarantee I'll watch it at least a dozen. That is what we have for follow-ups. So let's get into the elephant in the room when it comes to movie news. We don't usually talk about stuff like this, but I feel like this one is so gigantic. The gravity of it really is pulling everyone towards it. And of course, I am talking about the Ezra Miller situation with The Flash. So if you are one who only reads headlines, then you might have a bit of a different takeaway from the recent announcements, because there actually wasn't a recent announcement. I've seen all of the headlines, and so many of them say that Ezra Miller is not going to be in The Flash, that they're recasting The Flash, and Ezra Miller is no longer going to be in the movie. That's kind of the implication. That's why they're trying to get you to click. The official word from Discovery Plus is that the final decision as to the future of the character of Barry Allen / The Flash is up to David Zaslav. David Zaslav, obviously president of Discovery Plus, the newly merged company. So that is to say that Ezra Miller will not be removed from the Flash movie that we are about to get. However, there is still a slim possibility that Zaslav could pull the release of the movie, even though they've literally spent over $200 million to get it done. So, if you hear anything to the contrary of that, then that is fake news and or rumor. That is not official as of recording this, as of this morning before I came up into the studio to record. That is not the case. The movie is still being released unless Zaslav decides to pull it, and Ezra Miller is still the Flash at the very least for this movie. They are not going to reshoot his scenes. He is far too integrated into this movie. They would literally have to reshoot probably the entire movie, maybe say for about 10-15 minutes. So yeah, they're not pulling him from this movie. The only possible way that you won't see Ezra Miller again as the Flash is if this movie doesn't get released. And we're just going to leave that there. That is our movie section, actually. So let's get to movie suggestions. This one is a lot of fun, actually. I really, really love this movie. Whiplash is the suggestion for this movie. I was talking with my father about movies, like we are wont to do when we have our conversations, and he relayed to me that he had never seen Whiplash. Miles Teller is in Top Gun Maverick. He plays Rooster. He's Goose's son. He is a great actor. This is the first noteworthy movie that he did as the lead. He was great. J.K. Simmons won a freaking Oscar for this one because he was brilliant. You should watch Whiplash. So now, rumor mill is where we're headed. We don't have any refutations or confirmations. We don't have new sources for old rumors. We just have new rumors. These new rumors are as follows. Star Wars. We have a new Star Wars rumor that says Kathleen Kennedy has been talking with none other than Millie Bobby Brown to to be the lead in a new Star Wars movie that has yet to be announced. They say repeatedly, depending on which outlet you're reading or which leaker you're getting your information from, kind of changes the way this one colors. But either way, it is said that Millie Bobby Brown, maybe she's not talking with Kathleen Kennedy, maybe she's just talking with Lucasfilm, behind closed doors kind of stuff, to attempt to save the movie franchise, because the TV or the streaming stuff is doing okay thanks to Mandalorian and partially Boba Fett. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. So what is the likelihood that they are talking with Millie Bobby Brown to front a movie of her own? I'm going to say that's about 70%. I've honestly heard this from a couple of different sources who claim to have separate sources from one another that are, closely tied into where this information comes from. Millie Bobby Brown has been in communication about doing this, but will she actually be in a Star Wars movie as the lead? Again, 70% likely that this comes to fruition. Whether or not it's actually happening right now is a much more difficult thing to call. We're going to say 70% likely that we do see Millie Bobby Brown in a Star Wars movie, probably about 3 to 5 years out. Next is a new rumor about Beetlejuice 2. We already know that Beetlejuice 2 is actually happening. Brad Pitt's production company is behind the paying for the movie to happen. They are producing it. And now we are getting a rumor that the triumphant return of Johnny Depp to the silver screen is going to be in this movie. I have seen it reported that this is now fact, and it is not. There is no substantiation to this. There is no official announcement that he has been cast. Similarly to the Millie Bobby Brown situation, I think it's somewhere in that vein, where he's, talking behind closed doors, so you can't really confirm or deny anything. But, this one I think is a little lower on the likelihood scale, because I find, while Tim Burton does like to use Johnny Depp, they are friends, Depp is in a number of Tim Burton's movies, so that part is not out of the realm of possibility. I just think the fact that we fairly sure, at least, that Michael Keaton will be returning as the lead character, as the titular character, I should say. So that puts the potential of Depp being in this as the secondary lead or even a secondary character, which might not jibe very well with where he is wanting to be with his comeback. So I don't know. I put this one at about 45%. I wanted to put this at 50%, but I honestly think that clash, the Michael Keaton, Johnny Depp clash, it's not that they don't get along or anything. It's just that I don't think that the two of them can both be leads in the same Tim Burton movie. If it was a different filmmaker, maybe, but Tim Burton, I don't think so. They're both his muses at different times, whatever. 45% likely that we will see Johnny Depp in the Beetlejuice 2 movie. Oh, words. Oh, and then, this is honestly a fun one. This took me a little bit of doing. So, Mortal Kombat 12 is the rumor. The rumor is being I guess this is kind of news source almost, but also kind of leak and also kind of potentially nothing at all. I guess I should preface it as such. Andrew Bowen, who is the voice actor that does Johnny Cage in game, tweeted out a tweet and then promptly deleted it. It was a video, and I was unable to get the video, but I was able to get a screenshot of the existence of said video, so I do know it is still there, or it was posted anyway, so trying to find it will be a much more difficult thing at this point because he's deleted it. Video of him going to Warner Brothers Studios and with some Mortal Kombat stuff playing in the background. Very faintly from Mortal Kombat 2 and you know, sound effects and things. So, this is feeding into the rumor mill saying that the next NetherRealm Studios game is in fact going to be Mortal Kombat 12 and not Injustice or some new property. I think this is pretty weak. These are not good legs to stand on. But, I mean, the fact that he deleted it so quickly kind of does lend itself to make one want to believe such things. So that, just because it's kind of hard to call one way or the other, we're looking at 50% likely that this is the case. The NetherRealm is working on Mortal Kombat 12 and not something else. If we can get another source close to NRS, then that will probably up the probability. But right now we're still looking at that 50%. And then our next rumor has to do with the new Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali. I'm super excited about this one. This new rumor is that we're going to be seeing a Wesley Snipes cameo at some point in this movie. Disney does a lot of fan service stuff, man. I think this one's super likely. I honestly would be kind of surprised if it didn't happen. It will be very much a cameo, so they don't have to pay Wesley Snipes very, very much money. But yeah, he keeps saying that they haven't come to him about being in a movie. I think the vocabulary he uses when they ask him these things seems, at least from my recollection, because I'm paraphrasing when I say it now, from my recollection, it seems that he is using verbal gymnastics to kind of dance around a cameo in a movie, because they're saying be in a movie, and potentially in his head that means act or be a major part of, or something along those lines. So yeah, I think 80% likely that we will see a cameo. It's not going to be anything more than a cameo. He's going to have like 30 seconds of screen time. But we will see a cameo from Wesley Snipes in the Blade movie. There is so much more to talk about, and we don't have the time, so you're going to have to go check out the other older videos to hear it. There's a bunch more news and rumors and things, and if you want to just digest these sections individually, then all of that stuff goes over on the second channel, which is the Nerd News Clips channel, where each of these sections, the TV streaming, gaming, rumors, all of that stuff gets its own individualized video. So, you know, that's the shorter version of this same show, along with all of the shorts and all of the super nerdy hot takes and the quick and nerdy top 3 lists and the quick and nerdy how-to stuff. And yeah, so much goes up over on the Nerd News channel. Go check that one out if you haven't subscribed there already. Thank you very much, nerds, for coming all the way to the end with me and going through this journey. I appreciate your faces. If you are falling behind in your nerd news, then you can go check out those other videos by clicking the videos, the boxes and things that are showing up to the side of my face. Thank you very much, nerds. I very much appreciate you joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.